You've been gone too long, man.
I'm back.
I was worried you got bucked off a mule or something and just never came home.
No, I did fall off a horse the other day in Arizona.
Like, bad wreck, or you're still walking? It couldn't have been horrible.
Lost my hat, lost my boot. But of all the places I could have, I mean, of all the places that we went, that was the softest place I could have hit the ground. Perfect. It was pretty soft. Yeah. At my age, it didn't hurt that bad.
Usually, if you lose a shoe, that's not a good thing.
I know.
That's what we joke about. You're in a car wreck and lose your shoes. Like, it's over.
Hey, though, that's exactly why you should wear slip-on cowboy boots when you're riding. I mean, because if I'd have had lace-up boots, it's very possible I could have got hung up in the stirrup. And they'd been picking up my pieces all through the Peloncillo Mountains down there.
That would be my biggest fear. Not even falling off. I'm pretty good at falling off of horses. It's the getting beat up against everything.
It was my fault, really. I mean, I took my own saddle and I was riding one of their horses, and the horse didn't have much withers, but I didn't take a britchin. I ride all my mules with a britchin, and I didn't take a britchin because I was riding one of their horses. And usually horses, the way they're made, you don't have to worry about the saddle, sliding too far forward. And,
is that the back strap? Like goes behind their hind legs?
Goes behind their tail, right on the back of their hind end, and it keeps it attaches to your cinch and to the back of your saddle and keeps your saddle from going forward. And now I tightened up my saddle and I tightened up my back cinch, and that back cinch keeps that saddle from tipping up, when you're going down steep grades. But I kept feeling it slide, and I kept feeling it working its way forward. So finally, I just kind of got off and started leading, going down hills. And there was just one little place there. It was real steep, but it wasn't very long, and I just was going to slide that mare down that hill, and that saddle slid forward, and it got past the big part of her belly, and the back part of that saddle tipped up. And Benny said I did a half gainer and a flip before I hit the ground. And my boot was laying about 10 feet from me, and my hat was laying about 20 feet from me, and the horse was way down the mountain looking at me like, "Where'd you go?" And
man,
everybody was yelling, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I think so." And what was really amazing, I told this story on our live, but what was really amazing about it was, I hurt when I got up and I walked down to the horse. I was hurting, really bad, my hip, my back. And when I rode, just every little jar, I couldn't hardly breathe. It hurt. And I told Benny, I said, "I don't think I'm going to be able to go out with you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be so sore I can't hardly move." And
right.
I sat at the fire that night and had a shot of whiskey and took a couple ibuprofen. And the next morning, I felt better than the first day I got there. My back had been hurting me a little bit the first day I got there. And the next morning, I felt like $1 million.
No kidding.
Hasn't
Maybe
bothered
you knocked
me
something
since.
back into place.
I think I did. That's something.
That's no joke. The last wreck I had, so my mother-in-law had a horse, and we were out there just kind of letting the kids poke around on the pony, and I got on to ride her mare, and they took the pony away, and they are like buddies, and she started getting kind of, like, I don't know if you call it a crow hop, like just little though. Mm-hmm. Like you could tell she's about ready to get a little wild. And she gave me one good crow hop, and I tried to just tuck her in, pulled on the reins.
Pull her up.
Got her. She did it probably two, 3 more times maybe. Got her stopped, and that rein broke on one side, and it jerked that head's horse to the left, and over her right shoulder, here I came. Like, I don't know how it looked from the outside, but the position I land in, I thought that must have been pretty funny to watch, because I would have had to just go straight up and over. And I landed so flat on my back. We were in an arena, but all it was that decomposed granite. Do you guys have that down there?
Yeah.
It's like concrete. Once it's packed in, it is not soft at all. And I landed so flat on my back. I don't know what happened, but I was literally mentally paralyzed. I know for sure. Like, I couldn't move. And everybody's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I don't know, like if this is new pain or if this is my old back injury, like I just really screwed up. But you know what? That one only took about 4 or 5 days to get over, and I felt a lot better afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
Man, I was amazed. I
straightened you
felt
right out.
better the next morning. Yeah.
That's crazy. So you just drove over and went on their horses?
Yeah. The first time I went down, I guess to tell everybody, I went down and hunted with John Klump. And we went down there, and we were supposed to do an interview the first time we went down there, or first time I went down there. And I did a little video. I made a little video. I got it on my channel of us just kind of making circles and kind of the story of the clumps and everything. And but we got busy doing what we were doing. I got to go see Warner Glenn, and I interviewed Warner Glenn during that same trip. And we got busy, and I never did sit down and talk to John and interview him. I videoed some of his story, but not all of it. And so this last about a couple weeks ago, I went back, and this was the second trip. And we did about the same thing, but we took the time. We built a big fire and sat out by the fire, and I interviewed him and got his story.
That's cool.
You know, he caught a jaguar in 1986. And I got him to tell the whole story about that, which is real interesting.
And caught a jaguar in the U.S. Like he wasn't
in
traveling.
Arizona.
In Arizona.
No, he caught and treed in the what do they call it? The dos cabezas, the mountains down there in Arizona, right by Wilcox, I think. And I'd always heard about him and heard about the jaguar, and it's a long story, you know. It's good.
It's pretty deep.
You know, yeah, it's pretty deep. We didn't, you know, he got in some trouble and stuff, and there was a lot of things that just weren't right about everything, you know, with what the feds did and everything. So, but leave that.
You
up
got
to
everything in that one,
to
probably.
Well, we didn't get into all the other
drama.
Yeah, it's just fun to listen to John Klump. I don't know if anybody's ever listened to him before, but he's a hoot, man. He's a character. He's fun to listen to.
Well, I guess we should break the news, though. Like, you went down there and recorded this for a reason. And that is, Brett is finally coming back to the W podcast platform, I guess. I don't know what everybody even calls it now. But, you know, you took a little hiatus there. But we've been talking, and you got some good stuff coming, and we got some other plans. So everybody that enjoyed, I mean, Brett in general, but like the interviews that he's brought us, if you want to go back and check those out, there's all the Warriors of El Gato series on the W feed, the Dale Lee tapes. You know, I liked your interview with Jim Farmer. You did a couple with Jim, but there's a lot of them that Brett's already done for a podcast. But these coming up, I mean, I know you told me like you were doing Warner Glenn, and then you said and Johnny Klump, and I'm like, well, who's this Johnny Klump guy? And we got to talking, and it's like, you know, obviously you respect him very much, and he's a pretty good houndsman. So
he's a super good houndsman. I mean, it was amazing just being around him. It really was, and he's a really neat guy. I enjoyed talking to him. But yeah, and of course I got to go down, talk to Warner Glenn. We sat down and we talked, and you know, a lot of the stuff that we talked about has probably been covered in other podcasts. You know, Clay did that really good deal with him in the bear grease deal. But I went out and I videoed his hounds and everything and talked to him about his hounds, and which was pretty interesting. And then,
you said Aunt Kelly was there, right?
Yes, Kelly. It was me and Mr. Glenn, Kelly, and Benny sat in with us for a while. So Benny Griffin, and he's a guy that's on our little live shows every Monday night. So
yeah, the Lorax.
The Lorax. He's the Stomper. I used to call him Tulip. That used to be his nickname because he came up when I lived up in the mountains. He came up and hunted with me, and he's an old desert rat. Spent a lot of years hunting lions in the desert, and I took him up there to those mountains. Of course, it's about 7,000 foot elevation. It gets pretty cold up there. And I used to tease him. He said, I'm never coming up here again. He said, it's too cold. So I started calling him Tulip. I said, you're just like a flower. You can't stand the cold weather.
Oh man. And he's on with you pretty regular on the lives, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a regular.
2 or 3 he was on.
He's going to be a regular on our Monday night lives. He provides a little stability for us. He's kind of ornery.
And that's all on YouTube. Like, I want you to make sure to tell people where they can find that, because Brett has been doing these Monday night lives, which is, it's different. I mean that nicely. It's a roundtable conversation, a lot like our podcast, but it's long form. You know, I think the last one I just listened to was almost 2 hours. But I just found myself kind of glued to it. Like, I'm in between phone calls all day, so I might get to listen for a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. But like when the phone shut down, I just found myself, listening through what I could. And it's so captivating because, like I was explaining to you earlier, it's like you're sitting around the campfire. You can still walk to the cooler and come back, and it's no big deal. Like, it's real just campfire conversation, and, you don't really... I know you got a little bit of an agenda as far as, like, what you kind of want to talk about, but, like, you're not limited to doing one topic or one this. It's wherever that conversation goes, and it can get a little rabbit holey,
Oh, bad. We try to start off with a topic. I mean, we'll say, well, let's talk about mules tonight or whatever, and then we go off and talk about other things. And we've had dry ground lion hunting versus snow lion hunting and different things. Like, of course, most of us, we're lion hunters. It's what we try to do anyway. And Benny, he lion hunted for years and years. But we have we got Cody King that comes on. He's running Walker Man from down in South Texas that catches lots and lots of bobcats, and George Lambert from Virginia, and he's been a regular. He's come on several times, and we kind of pick his brain about running bears in Virginia. And then we had a bear on. He came and talked to us.
He said he was coming on.
Yeah, and we kind of went down a rabbit hole with him because I was interested in Norway and what it was like to live in Norway and the rules and regulations and some of the politics and the cost of living there. Of course,
it's a trip.
It's different. So I really enjoyed talking to him about that, and that's what I said. I want to talk about whatever interests me. If we go down a rabbit hole, that it might not always be about hounds. It might be about aliens or something like that too. I don't know. just talking to people. I get curious about certain things and I ask questions.
Well, and I think that's what I like best about it is it's real. It's an intense conversation. Like, there's definitely thought going into it. Like, you guys are bouncing things off of each other just like we all do with our hunting buddies. It's easy to keep listening because you can tell you guys enjoy talking about it. That's why, people ask me, well, what do you want to talk about on the podcast? Well, I mean, I might have one or two things, but is there anything you want to talk about or a topic that you really like? Because I would much rather put what I want to talk about aside and talk about, that, because it's going to be a more genuine conversation. Like, you're going to be excited about it. And you guys clearly have a good time. There ain't no doubt.
Oh, we of course, I kind of enjoy poking fun at people anyway. And we have a good time with it, and I want it to be, relaxed. And we got Chris Watson and he's got his own YouTube channel, Anecdote of a Houndsman, and he goes live on his channel on Wednesday nights. And I haven't been a part of it yet, but he keeps his pretty structured. He has a guest, and they talk about something, He
knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does a little better job than I do. But I like the kind of the free for all, I guess. I enjoy that. And then we're going to try to repurpose that content with W and see if it'll work as a podcast. I don't know. The audio is what we're kind of talking about. The problem with we get 3 or 4 people in there and they step on each other a little bit and everything, but we'll see how it works.
I know I was glued to it. It held my interest, for 2 hours. But I mean, I guess the structure is going to be is you're going to have your main interviews, and those are going to be not as frequent. They're not going to be an every week thing because Brett's got to jump on a mule and ride to Mexico or something for him. So that's just kind of like the showcase pieces, and then we're gonna try these lives and see if they work. I'd be interested to hear what y'all think about it, and that way we can keep something coming to you guys that's a little different than anything else out there too. I will say your live conversations aren't like any other podcast out there, but it's very interesting.
No. No, so not like anything else.
Yeah. So, I'll warn people there might be a little bit of difference in sound levels and things like that, just because there's limitations in the way Brett's doing this. And, his main focus is that live on which channel is that on? Interview Stories and Tales?
That's on my YouTube channel, Interview Stories and Tales. And I have my other channel, Born 100 Years Too Late. And it just has a little different kind of content. And then the Interview Stories and Tales is going to be dedicated more to the Hound's interviews and then our lives. I mean, we're putting up all the daily tapes again. I know W Hunting Supply has it on their podcast, but we're putting them up on YouTube and putting up a little slideshow that goes along with the audio. And then of course I had the Warriors of El Gato. I think I got most of them up there. And then my interviews, we're going to share them with W Hunting Supply first, and then put the video up later on my channel. And hopefully, I mean, the plan is to be able to do one of those a month. I think I can get that done. And I've got quite a few people that I want to go talk to, besides the ones I've already got. I got Joel Garnett that I recorded. I don't think I shared that with you guys yet. And then, of course, Warner Glenn, Johnny Clump, Tony Rivera. I'm trying to raise some money to go down to Mexico and talk to him. That guy's, he wrote a book. He's got a book that's just not been published yet. And he's caught lots of jaguars. And I want to go down there and sit down and talk to him and interview him. He speaks the King's English pretty good, so he'd be a good interview.
Heck yeah. No, I think like the combination, I'm excited to see what people think about it, because like think about the live that you're doing on Mondays, and any of the listeners, like if you want to jump on there and ask questions, you can ask questions during their conversation. So it's like you're sitting in the room. And I know it takes you a little bit to get to them sometimes, but you guys seem to circle back to them fairly often. And then it's going to be on, so you got YouTube Live going. It's going to be on the W podcast feed, so you can take it with you wherever you go. Yeah. And then you're going to have all your interviews. So there's a lot happening. Like, I don't want to sound like a cheesy car salesman, but the intertwining of listeners, viewers, you yourself as I don't want to say influencer, because I feel that comes with some weird things, but like what you do and the Born 100 Years Too Late, it's going to be interesting for people, I think.
I think so, and we're going to work on our audio level. So up until, it's kind of strange how it started out. It started out with me and Chris just going. I bought this program to go live, and Chris has a YouTube channel. I had a YouTube channel, and he was asking me some questions, and I said, "Hey, let's try out this new program I got, this live," and we got on and we were talking, and then next thing you know, George Lambert was getting on with us, and then we had John. He's a preacher from down in Virginia too. I think he's in Virginia, and he'd get on with us. We were all just, and I said, let's just turn the live on and go live on YouTube while we're talking and see what happens. And one thing led to another, and then we started having a good time. Then we started having a following. We started having people that were looking forward to the Monday Night Lives. And they started coming on, and then we'll bring people on. As a matter of fact, if anybody out there knows somebody, or if you want to come on, we'll try to get it organized. Get our audio. Well, first place, we got to get our audio levels good. and I'll work on that. And then Chris kind of watches over the chat. And so if somebody has a question, then we try to read the question and answer it. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
I think it's going to do good. I know like the levels and stuff we might be able to tweak a little, but I'll tell you the Cody King one that you sent, just a heads up to the listeners, that's probably going to be the first one you're going to hear. And that is from about a month ago, I think is when you guys recorded that one. Yeah. So, but it was so captivating to me. And like I said, I want to meet Cody anyway. Like, I like listening to him talk about dogs. I like the style of dogs. Like, I relate to a lot of what he's saying. And you can tell he's just super insightful. So, the levels might be a little off, but honestly, it wasn't enough to trip me out. You know, like, I was able to follow along. It's just, if you guys hear that one, just know we're trying to make it even better if possible. But it was such good content. I really did not want to not air it, because there's a lot of, especially scenting conditions and talking about traveling with dogs to different areas and acclimation. And like, you guys hit on a lot of good topics in it. So I didn't think it was worth scrapping over that.
Yeah. He was good to talk to. Cody and I have some real in-depth conversations all the time. I mean, we'll call each other and get to talking about something, because I was kind of been using these dry ground, lion hounds for a long time. And of course, he has the running walkers, and then the controversy of, whether the running walkers have a nose to trail a lion out here in the dirt, and it's a different style of hunting and everything. So he's taken one of my dogs down there, and then I've got a couple of his dogs up here. So we're experimenting with all that.
That's cool. That's how you find out.
Yep.
Right.
Give it a try.
That's an age-old, I'm telling you. That is like, it's like the running dogs on bobcats. It's the same deal, but get over like what you have in your head and to listen to the conversation and you guys talking about it. It's really good information. At least make you think twice. Because I would say there was a lot I agreed with. Some of it I'm like, not so much. But it was enough to make me think about it. So I hope people enjoy them.
We try to stay, open-minded, about things. That's the same thing with the dry ground versus snow hunting. We you got Benny that he's a little ornery about stuff, but sometimes I reach over and mute him so he doesn't say anything that embarrasses us.
There you go. Brett runs the button.
No, I have never had to do that. But yeah, it's all in good fun, really.
Well, I'm glad you're back, man. I know you had a lot going on in life, and now you're retired, right?
Yeah,
unquote, full-time YouTube.
Somebody y'all making fun of me, that video of me saying all the time. Remember, but it's been a hard, it's been a hard year on me. I sold my business, and then man, I had some health problems, and I got through all those. So they gave me a clean bill of health. So now I'm back doing something.
Well, I'm really glad. So I will encourage people, check out the new channel that you've started. That's the Interview Stories and Tales. Most of them probably know about the Born 100 Years Too Late channel already. But stay tuned for future W podcasts. We haven't ironed out what day, so I'm not going to say what day we're doing it yet. But be looking for regular appearances by the long-lost Brett Vaughn here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. We'll try to keep it going, try to keep it entertaining at least. That's and informative. I try to get people on that are informative. I'll try to be entertaining.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. That way we can let people know what's coming up. I'd say check it out the next week or two. We're going to try to get the editing wrapped up and get it on here. And I appreciate you coming back, dude. It's been too long. Like we all kind of live vicariously through some of these podcasts, I think. Because you're part of the world and those kind of people, it's different than here. And it's going to be nice to start hearing them again.
Yeah, every little area or region, I mean, they're different, and they all have their different ways of doing things, and it's all interesting to me. Like, I talked to Josh McKay. I always butcher his last name, Michaelis.
I'm not helping you out. You guys got to learn this. I say it right.
No, how do you say it?
Michaelis.
Michaelis. I got to talking to him about the coon hunting competitions. I never dreamed there was that much money in those things. That's crazy.
Oh, stupid money, dude.
Oh, trucks and $100,000 checks, and that's crazy.
Well, did you hear the episode Danny and I did with Steve in Full Cry when we went out for the Grand American hunt?
Oh, yeah, I did.
It's like 30,000 people. It's insane. T-bone dinners, or ribeye dinners with the Chamber of Commerce and big old Happy Gilmore checks. Like, it was a little mind-blowing.
This lion hunting world, it's kind of a small world. And then if you do it dry ground, then if you do it on a mule, it's a real small world.
It's real small. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's always crazy to talk to those guys out there. But what's funny is you talk to a lot of them, and they just want to come out and go lion hunting. Like, a lot of the East Coasters, that's what they want to do. They want to come out and go mountain lion hunting. Because I know when you weren't on regularly, I will tell you, my phone was ringing. They're like, what happened to Brett? Where's he at? I always enjoyed listening to it. So we're going to make some people's days here real quick.
Well, hopefully I'll do something that's worthwhile. So I'll try.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
PSA.
I'm glad.
Is that what they call it? A public service announcement?
Guess so. Sounds good to me.
No, it'll be good. So we'll definitely get this thing up. I think, like I said, within the next week or two, you guys should start seeing some content from Brett. And we mentioned the channels, but why don't you mention them again?
The interview Stories and Tales on YouTube, and the Tales is spelled Tails. And Monday nights we have those lives, and like I said, they'll be rebroadcasted if they're good enough for the podcast, for the W Hunt and Supply podcast, because we get a little out there sometimes. So Jason or Buddy might reject some of them. I don't know. Say, we can't put that up here.
I doubt it. we pretty much say what we want to.
And then I got the Born 100 Years Too Late, and that's kind of my little travels and my destinations, and packing in on mules and stuff, the things that I like to do, and a lot of times they're titled to me going somewhere and everything, but I always got hounds with me, and I'm always looking for a lion track. So hopefully, from time to time, I hit one and I can trail it a little bit at least.
Well, welcome back, man. We're glad to have you.
Thanks for having me. That's great.